Today's a sad day. I woke up this morning and got some pretty upsetting news. See, the last few days I've actually been introducing some friends of mine that have never seen it before to classic animated show. I'd argue the American anime, King of the Hill. Fantastic show, literally only gets funnier as I get older. And, rewatching it, playing Stardew, we've been having a great time. Wake up this morning only to find out that Jonathan Joss, the voice actor for beloved character John Redcorn in King of the Hill, was murdered last night. Murdered at his own home in Texas. Now, I didn't know this, but he is also, as it turns out, gay, and his husband has come out to give some additional info on this story, and yes, it does seem like, based on at least what his husband said, there's a high likelihood that this was a hate-motivated crime, not just a non-politically motivated violent crime. And so I got this article here about exactly that, if I can get them to stop demanding that I turn off my ad block. We get it. Oh my god, New York Post. I turned off my ad block. Let me through. Let me in. Alright. King of the Hill actor Jonathan Joss's husband says Star's killing was homophobic hate crime, but the cops are denying that claim. I don't doubt that the cops would be denying that, mind you. The husband of King of the Hill star Jonathan Joss alleged that the voice actor was murdered by a homophobic neighbor after enduring years of violent threats on their street, but residents and police are telling a different story. That is very interesting to me. That the husband of the victim is telling a story about receiving years of harassment and homophobia from the killer, and the police and neighbors and people in the community are coming out to say, no, that's not how it happened. That's just weird to me. Like, something odd is happening here. Quote, he was murdered by someone who could not stand the sight of two men loving each other. Joss's husband, Tristan Kern de Gonzalez, wrote in a Facebook post Monday, a day after the killing. The San Antonio Police Department, however, soon denied those claims. Currently, the investigation has found no evidence to indicate that Mr. Joss's murder was related to his sexual orientation, the department wrote on X. Gonzalez claimed on social media that he and Joss had stopped by the site of their Texas home, which burned down in February, to pick up their mail on Sunday, when they found the bones of their dead pet dog displayed on the property. This was not just a random killing or just your normal run-of-the-mill hate crime. Like, this was a series of houses don't just burn down, man. I'm pretty sure that this person burned their house down, killed their pet, put the pet's body up on display for them to see, and then ambushed him and murdered him while they were getting their mail from their burned down house. From the mailbox, that is. Because this, after all, does seem to have been a neighbor that did this. Fucking disgusting, dude. Quote, this caused both of us severe emotional distress. We began yelling and crying in response to the pain of what we saw, Gonzalez wrote. Quote, while we were doing this, a man approached us. He started yelling violent homophobic slurs at us. He then raised a gun from his lap and fired. Joss, a 59-year-old, best known for voicing John Redcorn on the Body cartoon comedy, was on the Body cartoon comedy. I don't know what that's referring to. King of the Hill, was struck by the gunfire and killed. A suspected neighbor who lives doors down from the couple, Sigfredo Alvarez Seja, was arrested shortly after the shooting. So Sigfredo Alvarez seems to be the guy suspected of committing the shooting. Also worth mentioning, by the way, Jonathan Joss's husband is Gonzalez is a trans man. So he's FTM trans. So no doubt this was a attack motivated by... Okay, well, let's just look at the suspect. Let's just get a look. Let's just get a nice little look at the suspect here. I don't know, guys. I think he might have been motivated by the fact that they were a gay couple and one of them was trans. Yeah, he looks like the type. You know, I don't like to judge a book by its cover, but he did kill someone after all. He did commit a hate crime and a murder. So, yeah. I'm going to judge a book by its cover on this one. I'd say he looks the type. Gonzalez claimed the killing was just the culmination of a long saga of frightening homophobia the couple endured on their street, alleging neighbors had spent years threatening to burn their home down, but that cops never intervened. Residents, however, painted a different picture, telling My San Antonio that Joss was an erratic neighbor whose alarming antics caused them to regularly ignore him for their own safety. Quote, he would walk up and down the street. He would just, scream, said neighbor Isabel Caballero. Quote, we knew how he was, so we wouldn't disturb him. Even if he looked at us, talked mess to us, we just ignored him. Others said Joss wasn't a good neighbor and would yell how, quote, he was God, until neighbors called the police. San Antonio cops were called to Joss's home at least 40 times since January 2024, according to the outlet, with complaints ranging from mental health situations, neighbor disturbances, and welfare checks. Ooh, it's good to see that the right's gonna have plenty of stuff to go off of to be like, you see, he deserved to die. Remember, no one here is claiming that he was some kind of angel who never did anything bad whatsoever in his life, or he was the perfect neighbor. But if you're going to claim that he deserved to be murdered, you're gonna have to make a damn good case for it. Those calls culminated with the February fire, which neighbors told TMZ Joss set himself by trying to heat his home with a barbecue pit after its services were cut off because the house had been deemed uninhabitable. Quote, we all knew it was going to end up like this because of his antics, a neighbor who asked to remain anonymous told My San Antonio. Quote, it's sad because this could have been prevented if he had gotten the help he needed. So according to the neighbors, this was like a bit of a Kanye situation, I guess. That supposedly he was living in a just unhinged, unlivable situation, was having regular mental breaks. The cops were called to their house 40 times. That he would have walk up and down the street rambling and screaming at people like the neighborhood crazy man. And that, I guess what we're supposed to believe, though no one seems to be willing to come out and say that yet, is that whoever it is that shot him, or I guess, we know who it is. It's this Sigfredo. The Sigfredo guy just shot him in self-defense is what they're kind of implying. Red State's just cementing the fact that I'll never even drive through them, let alone visit intentionally. Yeah, it's sad that, there is probably some level of we're probably seeing a very simplified version of the situation put forward to us right now. But, man, it's hard to say. It's hard to not think that there's a good chance that this entire neighborhood has been against this guy and his husband and have been attacking him and burned his house down, killed his pet, and now one of them has murdered one of them and are now all trying to cover their asses by, just telling stories about him being a nightmare neighbor and being, I guess, dangerous to be around. But then again, there are a lot of people all around this neighborhood who are all telling the same story, and that's not something I think that should be thrown out with the bathwater, you know what I mean? Yeah, KGB, I'm sure that's kind of what they're implying, with what they're claiming here, with, the bringing up of these points. That's what they're trying to imply. Yeah, at the same time, I don't want to fall into the trope of believing what fits my narrative. Yeah, obviously, there are some things here worth considering. It's not just some rando saying these things. It's like most of the neighbors that are concurring with this. You know what I mean? I don't know. Nonetheless, this is still a horrific story, and I can't believe we lost such a, legend. I heard from people at the RTX King of the Hill panel last weekend saying that he looked like he was in bad shape, but that could have just been cope. Are people, so apparently at the King of the Hill panel last weekend, people were saying that Jonathan Joss was, just acting weird, didn't look like he was all there. Interesting. Definitely interesting. Man, this is such a tragedy regardless. It really is. One person's running and screaming as another person's singing and jogging. That's true, you know? For all we know, he's just a quirky guy and they were just annoyed by him, you know? At the same time, we're talking a Texas neighborhood here. It's not that crazy to suggest that maybe, just maybe, the whole neighborhood was just against them for being a gay couple, right? Racist, transphobic, homophobic neighbors in Texas? Not that hard to believe, I'm gonna be honest. Seems like a possibility to me. Anyway, guys, there's not much more to say about this other than, isn't it kind of just... Doesn't it kind of speak volumes to where we're at now, right now as a country, that Trump is president after everything he's done, we're on day 2 of Pride Month, and a very prominent, very famous gay man has been seemingly hate crimed in his own front yard. Now, it could be more complicated than that. We could find out there's more to this story, but until more comes out from the police that seems well substantiated, man, I don't see much of a reason for the man's husband to be lying. You know, one person was killed, one person wasn't. It's hard to look at it any other way. Anyway, folks, despite the sad manner of this segment, I hope you guys did enjoy my commentary. I hope you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way. If you did, please consider leaving a thumbs up, because every single like and comment and subscription you guys leave on my channel really does go a long way to boost my channel in the algorithm. Likes and comments are totally free, so are subs, but if you don't know what to comment down below in order to, help out the channel, then why don't you just say, RIP Jonathan Joss, sorry, I'm a bit mush-mouthy today. RIP Jonathan Joss. You know, just a very simple, just outpouring of support, because frankly, this is one of my favorite characters and one of my favorite animated shows of all time. This is not great news. It's very sad news. I feel bad for the guy that got killed and hate crime. True, Cute Bunny Chan. Way to more or less summarize my position on the situation. But hey, I do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who subscribes, likes, and comments. You know what to say if you don't know what to comment. Consider following my social medias linked down below if you want to see more from me in the future, especially my fan Discord. I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights there every week on Fridays. And of course, finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xanderhal studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhal.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xanderhal merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me though, thank you so much for watching as always, and I hope you have a good one.